The Forbidden Boundary. The Ancient Warning. Captain Thane Coral stared at the holographic star map floating above his command console. The blue-skinned Valerian traced his clawed finger along the glowing trade route that curved awkwardly around a massive dark zone in the galaxy's outer rim. For 4 centuries, every merchant, explorer, and military vessel had taken this same detour, adding weeks to their journeys and millions of credits to their fuel costs. The dark zone was human space, and nobody entered human space. Captain called out his first officer, Zix Marlana, her insectoid features clicking with concern. The fuel consumption reports are in. This detour is bleeding us dry. We're losing 20% efficiency on every run. Thane's secondary arms flexed in frustration, while his primary hands drummed against the console. The Coral family had been running freight between the core worlds and the frontier colonies for 3 generations. They knew every shortcut, every safe harbor, every profitable route in their sector. But the massive human territory sat like a wall across the most direct path to their destination. "Show me the boundary markers again," Thane ordered. The star map zoomed in on the edge of human space. Ancient warning beacons, some older than most civilizations, formed a perfect sphere around human territory. Each beacon broadcast the same message in over 300 languages. "This is human space. Entry is forbidden. This is your only warning." Nix Folsom, the ship's crystalline engineer, chimed in with their melodic voice. "The beacons are still active after 400 years. Whatever power source they use, it's beyond our current understanding." Dr. Elena Vastok, their Terran-descended historian, looked up from her research terminal. Despite her human ancestry, she had never seen the homeworld. Her people had been part of the galactic community for 6 centuries, long before the mysterious quarantine began. "I've been studying the historical records again. The timeline doesn't make sense." "What do you mean?" Thane asked, his 4 eyes focusing on the elderly scholar. Humans were spacefaring when they established the quarantine, but they were still relatively primitive. Basic fusion drives, simple energy weapons, nothing that should have concerned the Galactic Trade Union. Yet within 50 years of first contact, every major power agreed to avoid their territory completely. Zix's compound eyes glittered with curiosity. The quarantine wasn't imposed on them. They requested it. More than requested, Dr. Vastok continued, pulling up ancient documents. According to these fragments, human representatives met with the Union Council and specifically asked for complete isolation. They claimed they needed time to develop without outside interference. Thane studied the records with growing interest. His people, the Valerians, were known for their business sense and risk assessment. Something about this situation had never felt right to him. What kind of development requires 4 centuries of complete isolation? "The kind that's either very dangerous or very valuable," muttered Jorik Henson from the pilot station. The gruff Corsican had been flying ships longer than most species had been spacefaring. His rocky, mineral-based skin was scarred from decades of trading in dangerous sectors. The ship's communication array suddenly crackled to life. "This is Union Traffic Control Station Gamma 7. All vessels in Sector 99 Alpha are advised that the Meridian pass through human space remains off-limits. Maintain current routing protocols." Thane muted the transmission and looked at his diverse crew. The Star's Edge carried beings from 7 different species, all united by the common goal of keeping their small trade operation profitable. But the human detour was slowly strangling their business. "Captain," Zix said quietly, "we've run the numbers. If we can't find a more efficient route within the next 6 months, we'll have to sell the ship." The words hit Thane like a plasma blast. The Star's Edge wasn't just their livelihood, it was their home. Each crew member had invested their life savings into the operation. They were family, bound together by shared dreams and mutual dependence. "There has to be another way," Dr. Vastok said, scrolling through more historical data. "Look at this. Before the quarantine, humans were active traders. They had colonies on 12 worlds, trade agreements with 15 species, They weren't isolated. They were integrating. So what changed? Nix asked, their crystalline form pulsing with concerned light patterns. That's what we need to find out, Thane decided. Plot a course for the nearest border station. If we're going to make this decision, we need all the information we can get. The border station. 3 days later, the Star's Edge docked at Border Station Kappa 12, a massive trading hub that served as the last stop before human space. The station's markets buzzed with activity as traders from across the galaxy bought and sold exotic goods, but Thane noticed that conversations often turned to whispered speculation about the forbidden territory beyond. In the station's cantina, Thane met with Captain Yura Stormwind, an old friend who commanded a salvage vessel. The weather-beaten Aquarian's gills fluttered nervously as she spoke. "You're not seriously considering crossing the boundary, are you?" Yura asked, her scaled hands gripping her drink tightly. "The thought has crossed my mind," Thane admitted. "What do you know about the human patrols?" "Nothing," Yura said immediately. "That's the problem. In 40 years of salvage work, I've never seen a human ship, never detected a human signal, never found human debris. It's like they vanished completely after the quarantine began." Dr. Vastok leaned forward. "But the warning beacons are maintained. Someone's keeping them active." "Automated systems," suggested Jorik, "could run for millennia with the right power source." As they debated, a commotion erupted near the cantina's entrance. A young Felinian trader was arguing with station security, her fur bristling with agitation. "I'm telling you, I saw something," she insisted. 3 days ago, near marker beacon 77 Gamma. A ship that didn't match any configuration in the databases. "Drink talking," one of the security officers muttered, but Thane caught the uncertainty in his voice. Later that evening, Thane found the Felinian trader, Kira Whisperwind, working on her small scout ship in the station's maintenance bay. Her enhanced feline senses had made her reputation as an excellent reconnaissance pilot. "Tell me about what you saw," Thane said without preamble. Kira's ears twitched, and she looked around nervously before responding. "It was sleek, white, and moved like nothing I've ever seen. No visible engines, no energy signatures my sensors could identify. It watched me for maybe 10 minutes, then just disappeared." "Disappeared how?" "Like it folded in on itself. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. No warp signature, no hyperspace entry. Just gone." Thane felt his certainty growing. The humans were still there, still active, but they were also clearly far more advanced than anyone realized. The decision. Back aboard the Star's Edge, Thane called his crew together for a formal council meeting. The ship's common area felt cramped with all 7 beings present, but it was their tradition to make important decisions together. "I've made up my mind," Thane announced. "We're going to cross into human space." The reaction was immediate. Zix's antennae drooped with worry, while Nix's crystalline form flickered with rapid light patterns indicating distress. Dr. Vastok looked intrigued rather than afraid, and Jorik just grunted his acceptance. "Captain," Zix protested, "we don't know what's waiting for us in there. 400 years of isolation could have turned them into anything, or it could have turned them into our salvation," Thane replied. "Think about it. If we can establish trade relations with humans, we'll have exclusive access to whatever they've developed. No more detours, no more competing with every other trader in the galaxy." Engineer Kelmar Ironforge, their stout dwarvenoid mechanic, spoke up from his position near the power core. "The ship can handle whatever they throw at us. I've upgraded our shields with some new modulation frequencies. Should protect us from most energy weapons." "What about first contact protocols?" Dr. Vastok asked. "We go in peaceful, open channels, standard diplomatic approach," Thane decided. "If they're hostile, we retreat immediately. If they're willing to talk, we see what opportunities exist." The crew spent the next 2 days preparing for their historic journey. They loaded extra supplies, ran full diagnostics on all systems, and researched everything they could find about pre-quarantine human culture and technology. Crossing the line. The moment arrived on a quiet morning during the ship's artificial night cycle. The Star's Edge approached warning beacon Delta 15, one of thousands that marked the human boundary. The ancient device pulsed with steady light, broadcasting its eternal warning to stay away. "All stations report ready," Zix announced from her position. "Dr. Vostok, you're recording everything for the historical record?" Thane asked. "Every sensor reading, every communication, every detail," she confirmed. Thane took a deep breath, his 4 lungs filling with the recycled air of his ship. "Take us across." The Star's Edge crossed the boundary line, becoming the first non-human vessel to enter human space in 4 centuries. For several minutes, nothing happened. Space looked the same on both sides of the invisible line. Stars shone with the same light, planets orbited with the same physics. "Sensors are clear," reported Nix. "No immediate threats detected." "Wait," Jorik said from the pilot station. "I'm getting something on long-range scanners. Single vessel, approaching fast." On the main screen, a sleek white ship appeared, exactly matching Kira Whisperwind's description. It moved with impossible grace, seeming to glide through space without visible propulsion. "They're hailing us," Zix announced, her voice tight with nervousness. On screen, the face that appeared on their communication display was surprisingly normal. A human woman in her 30s, with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. She wore a simple uniform that seemed to be made from some kind of adaptive material. "Greetings, travelers," she said in perfect galactic standard. "This is Commander Lisa Park of the Human Boundary Patrol. Welcome to human space. We've been expecting you." The casual greeting hit the crew like a shockwave. After 4 centuries of isolation, after warnings and fear and speculation, the first human they encountered was welcoming them home. "Expecting us?" Thane managed to ask. Commander Park smiled. Captain Coral of the trading vessel Star's Edge, representing 7 species and carrying a cargo manifest of rare minerals and manufactured goods. "You've been having financial difficulties due to the trade route detours, and you decided to risk crossing our boundary to save your business." The accuracy of her information was staggering. "How do you know all that?" "We've been monitoring galactic communications for 400 years, Park replied casually. "We know about every ship, every trade route, every political development in your part of the galaxy. We've been waiting for someone with enough courage and desperation to finally make contact." Dr. Vostok leaned forward. "Why the quarantine? Why the isolation?" Commander Park's expression grew more serious. "Because we weren't ready to be part of your galaxy yet. And frankly, your galaxy wasn't ready for what we were becoming. But times change, and perhaps it's time for a new relationship between our peoples." "What kind of relationship?" Thane asked. "The kind that could benefit everyone involved," Park replied. "Would you be willing to accept an escort to one of our facilities? There's much you need to see, and much we need to discuss." Thane looked at his crew. Fear and excitement warred on their faces, but underneath it all, he saw the same curiosity that had driven him to make this crossing. They had come this far. They might as well see what lay ahead. "We accept your offer, Commander Park." "Excellent. Please follow my ship and maintain your current course." And Captain Coral, "Welcome to the future." As the human ship began to lead them deeper into the forbidden territory, Thane realized that everything they thought they knew about humans, about the quarantine, about the nature of galactic civilization itself, was about to change forever. The Star's Edge and her crew were about to discover why no one dared cross into human space, and more importantly, why that was about to change. The real journey was just beginning. The awakening. The hidden truth. Commander Park's ship led the Star's Edge deeper into human territory, past dead worlds that long-range scans had shown as lifeless for centuries. But as they traveled, Dr. Vostok's sensors began picking up impossible readings. "Captain," she called out, her voice filled with wonder and confusion. "These worlds aren't dead. They're cloaked. On the main screen, seemingly barren planets began to shimmer and change. Advanced holographic projectors deactivated, revealing sprawling cities that stretched across continents. Orbital platforms materialized around every world, so massive they could house millions of beings. Space itself seemed to come alive with hidden installations that had been invisible moments before. The Awakening. The Hidden Truth. Commander Park's ship led the Star's Edge deeper into human territory, past dead worlds that long-range scans had shown as lifeless for centuries. But as they traveled, Dr. Vostok's sensors began picking up impossible readings. "Captain," she called out, her voice filled with wonder and confusion. "These worlds aren't dead. They're cloaked." On the main screen, seemingly barren planets began to shimmer and change. Advanced holographic projectors deactivated, revealing sprawling cities that stretched across continents. Orbital platforms materialized around every world, so massive they could house millions of beings. Space itself seemed to come alive with hidden installations that had been invisible moments before. "My sensors are going crazy," Nix reported, their crystalline form pulsing with rapid data processing. "The energy readings from these installations are off the charts. Some of these structures are using power sources I can't even identify." Thane stared at the transformed view before them. What had appeared to be a dead system was actually one of the most advanced civilizations he had ever seen. The technology required to hide entire worlds from galactic sensors was beyond anything the trade union possessed. "Commander Park," he called over the communication link. "How long have you been hiding all this?" "Since the beginning of the quarantine," Park replied. "We didn't just isolate ourselves from your galaxy, Captain. We evolved beyond it." As they approached the largest orbital station, Thane could see that it wasn't built from traditional materials. The structures seemed to be grown rather than constructed, with organic curves that pulsed with their own internal light. It was beautiful and alien, despite being created by humans. "Docking Bay 7 is opening for you," Park announced. "Don't worry about the atmospheric differences. Our facilities can accommodate any known species." The Star's Edge settled into a docking bay that adjusted itself to perfectly fit their ship's dimensions. As the bay sealed and atmosphere was restored, Thane noticed that the air itself seemed to sparkle with microscopic particles that his sensors couldn't identify. "Nanites," Dr. Vostok breathed, reading her instruments. "The air is full of helpful nanites. They're already analyzing our biology and adjusting the environment for optimal comfort for each species aboard." A delegation waited for them at the airlock. Commander Park stood beside two other humans, but these weren't like any humans Thane had ever seen. One was a tall woman whose skin had a subtle metallic sheen and whose eyes glowed with inner light. The other appeared to be a normal human male until he moved, flowing like liquid while maintaining solid form. "Welcome aboard Haven Station," Commander Park said as the Star's Edge crew disembarked. "Allow me to introduce Admiral Sarah Chen, our Director of External Relations, and Dr. Marcus Flo, our Chief Evolutionary Biologist." Admiral Chen stepped forward, and Thane noticed that she moved with perfect grace despite the station's complex gravitational fields. "Captain Coral, your arrival marks a significant moment for both our species. We've been monitoring your progress for some time." "Monitoring how?" Zix asked, her compound eyes tracking the subtle movements of Dr. Flo, who seemed to be shifting between different physical states. "We've had observation posts throughout the galaxy for over 3 centuries," Dr. Flo replied, his voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate directly in their minds. "Hidden stations, automated probes, even some direct infiltration when necessary. We needed to understand how galactic civilization was developing." Dr. Vostok couldn't contain her curiosity any longer. "What happened to humanity? 400 years ago, you were barely more advanced than the rest of us. Now you're hiding entire star systems, and your people look like they've transcended biology itself." Admiral Chen smiled, and for a moment her metallic skin reflected the station's lights and patterns that seemed to convey meaning. We discovered something your scientists haven't yet understood. The relationship between consciousness, biology, and technology isn't a hierarchy. It's a partnership. The evolutionary leap. Admiral Chen led them through corridors that seemed to respond to their presence, lighting and adjusting temperature as they walked. The walls displayed constantly changing patterns that Dr. Vostok realized were actually complex data streams that the humans were reading as easily as printed text. When we first made contact with galactic civilization, Chen explained, we realized we were at a critical point in our development. We could either integrate with existing galactic society and remain limited by current technological paradigms, or we could isolate ourselves and explore new possibilities. They entered a vast chamber that defied the station's apparent external dimensions. The space was filled with what appeared to be gardens, but the plants were unlike anything in galactic databases. Some grew in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly, while others seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. This is our agricultural center, Dr. Flo said, gesturing to the impossible gardens. But these aren't just plants. They're living computers, consciousness networks, and protein factories all integrated into a single organism. Kelmar Ironforge, who had been silent since boarding the station, finally spoke up. How is any of this possible? The energy requirements alone should collapse your civilization. That's thinking in old paradigms, Chen replied. Watch this. She approached one of the geometric plants and placed her hand against its crystalline surface. Immediately, her skin began to glow more brightly, and the plant's patterns shifted to match the light emanating from her body. I'm not just touching this organism, she explained. I'm networking with it, sharing processing power, memory, even consciousness to some degree. The plant benefits from my higher-level thinking, and I benefit from its biological efficiency and connection to the planetary network. Thane felt his understanding of reality shifting. You've merged with your technology. We've moved beyond the concept of merging, Dr. Flo corrected. We've learned to exist as cooperative entities. My body can shift between solid, liquid, and gaseous states because I've partnered with nanological organisms that respond to conscious intent. Admiral Chen's enhanced strength and processing speed come from her symbiotic relationship with metallic life forms that share her nervous system. Dr. Vostok was recording everything frantically. This is incredible. You've achieved true post-biological evolution. But why the secrecy? Why not share this with the galaxy? The three humans exchanged a look that seemed to convey volumes of information between them. Because most species aren't ready, Commander Park said gently. The transition requires a fundamental change in how you think about identity, individuality, and the nature of consciousness itself. When we first achieved these capabilities, it took us 50 years just to maintain stable societies. The greater purpose. Admiral Chen led them to an observation deck that offered a panoramic view of human space. But what Thane saw through the transparent walls made him question everything he thought he understood about galactic geography. Human settlements weren't just on the worlds within their quarantine zone. Stations and habitats dotted space throughout the galaxy, hidden from sensors but clearly visible now that his perception had been adjusted by the station's technology. You're everywhere, he whispered. We're gardeners, Chen replied. For 3 centuries, we've been quietly tending galactic civilization, preventing wars, stopping plagues, nudging technological development in beneficial directions. Images appeared in the air before them, showing historical events that Thane recognized. The Corsican plague that had mysteriously ended just before it could wipe out Joric species. The crystalline wars that had stopped when both sides suddenly developed identical peace technologies. The trade union's recent breakthrough in faster-than-light communication. All of these were human interventions, Dr. Vostok asked. Collaborative interventions, Dr. Flo corrected. We don't impose solutions. We provide opportunities and let species choose their own paths. Nix's form pulsed with rapid light patterns indicating deep consideration. But why reveal yourselves now? What's changed? You have. Admiral Chen said simply. Your generation of galactic citizens is different from your predecessors. More curious, more cooperative, more willing to accept new paradigms. Captain Coral's decision to cross our boundary, despite 4 centuries of warnings, proves that some species are ready for the next step. Commander Park activated a holographic display that showed trade routes throughout the galaxy. Your current economic problems aren't unique, Captain. The old system of isolated species competing for resources is reaching its limits. The galaxy needs a new model of cooperation. What are you proposing? Thane asked, though part of him already knew the answer would change everything. Partnership, Chen replied. Not absorption, not conquest, not even technological transfer. True partnership. Your species brings perspectives and capabilities that we've lost in our evolution. We bring technologies and insights that can solve problems your civilizations face. The test. Dr. Flo gestured toward a smaller chamber connected to the observation deck. But first, we need to know if your species can handle the reality of what we've become. Inside the chamber, the walls, floor, and ceiling were covered with what appeared to be living circuitry that pulsed with organic light. In the center sat a single chair that seemed to be grown from the same material as the station itself. This is a consciousness interface, Dr. Flo explained. It will allow one of you to experience a limited version of our networked existence. You'll maintain your individual identity, but you'll also be connected to our collective knowledge and sensory network. The crew of the Star's Edge looked at each other uncertainly. The offer was tempting, but the implications were staggering. I'll do it, Dr. Vastok said suddenly. As a historian, I need to understand what humanity has become. She settled into the chair, and immediately the organic circuitry began to glow more brightly. Her eyes widened as connections formed, and for a moment she seemed to be looking at something far beyond the chamber walls. I can see everything, she whispered. Every human settlement, every monitoring station, every intervention in galactic history. The scope of what you've built is... She paused, struggling for words. It's like seeing the galaxy as a living organism for the first time. After several minutes, the connections faded and Dr. Vastok returned to normal awareness. Her face showed a mixture of awe and understanding. They're not trying to control the galaxy, she reported to her crewmates. They're trying to help it grow, like gardeners tending a vast ecosystem. Admiral Chen nodded approvingly. And that's exactly what we'd like your species to help us do. Each race brings unique perspectives and capabilities. The Valerians understand commerce and resource distribution. The crystallines process information in ways we never could. The Corthicans have an intuitive understanding of engineering that complements our biological approaches. The New Alliance. Thane realized that this moment would be remembered as one of the most important in galactic history. The decision he made here wouldn't just affect his crew or even his species. It would reshape the entire galaxy. What would this partnership look like? He asked. Gradual integration, Commander Park replied. We'd start by opening limited trade relations, human agricultural products and biological technologies in exchange for rare minerals and manufactured goods. As trust builds, we'd share more advanced technologies and begin joint research projects. And the other species in the galaxy. They'll follow your example, Dr. Flo said confidently. The Valerians are known as successful traders and risk assessors. If you endorse this partnership, others will take notice. Thane looked at his crew one more time. In their faces, he saw the same mixture of fear and excitement that he felt. They had come here to save their small trading business, but they were being offered the chance to reshape galactic civilization. We accept, he said finally, but we do this gradually. Our people need time to adjust to new realities. Admiral Chen's skin pulsed with patterns that conveyed satisfaction and approval. Agreed. Commander Park will serve as our liaison for initial trade relations. Dr. Flo will work with your scientists to ensure safe technology transfer. As they prepared to leave Haven Station, Thane realized that the Star's Edge would never again be just another trading vessel. They were now ambassadors, pioneers in a new age of galactic cooperation. The quarantine around human space was officially lifted 3 months later. Trade routes that had detoured around human territory for 4 centuries were reestablished. But more importantly, a new model of cooperation began to spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had competed for resources began to collaborate. Technologies that had been closely guarded secrets were shared freely. The galaxy began to function as the integrated ecosystem that humanity had been secretly nurturing for 3 centuries. And Captain Thane Coral, the desperate trader who had risked everything on a single dangerous crossing, became known as the being who opened the door to the future. The forbidden boundary that had separated humanity from the galaxy was gone forever, replaced by bridges of understanding that would carry civilization to heights none of them had ever imagined possible. The age of isolation was over. The age of cooperation had begun.